What is going on, family members? Welcome back to another Cruise Island, the second one, actually the first live one of 2023, if I'm not mistaken. I did the first one last week about the Trojans. Um, Got a good show for you guys today. If you guys have not seen yet, the official Off the Ball Network playoff power rankings have been published. One thing we did differently here, we feel is different, is we show what all of our guys rank them. It's just not. It is a compiled rankings, but we show you guys where each person ranked them. So as of right now, I got two of my guys on here with me. First and foremost, got to bring on my guy Mo of the Up in Flames podcast. Mo, what is going on?
What's up, bro? We on a roll. What? 2 in a week?
2 in a week.
2 in 3 days. We on a roll right now.
And we're just gonna add to that number next week. Next, I got another Cowboys fan. It's a little blue heavy out here. I don't know how I feel about that, but my guy Aaron.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Touchdowns with probably the craziest, most outlandish rankings of this group. In fact, I'm not even gonna delay it anymore. These are the rankings right here. So if you look, my man's has Jaguars at 6. Aaron, please. The whole network basically wants to know, what are you smoking?
Hey, I must be smoking something good, but I wouldn't. Hey, I did this at midnight, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with number 6. After they started off with as 2 and 6, and from week 1 to week 8, they went up to 7 and 2. And after all the addition they added in the all season, they added Christian Kirk, who has having a good season, and you have Zay Jones, Evan Ingram's having a good season. And after they beat my Cowboys with about 40, and the other stats, we got the Titans. They beat the Titans by 36-26. The Chargers, 38. It's just one of those teams I see that is one of those sleeper teams in the playoffs. And that's why I got them at number 6. Is like not many people are talking about the Jags. They kind of had them at the bottom of the barrel teams, like they could be a team that doesn't be done in the first round. But if who they playing, they're playing against the Chargers. I'm not really a huge fan of when it comes to the Chargers in the playoffs. So I'm like, I think the Jaguars might mess around and win the first round of the playoffs.
I'm not far off from you. If you look at mine, I have them at 8, and the way I view power rankings are the way that teams are trending currently at that point in time. There's something I think we talked about it right before got on. Aaron, you confirmed they're 7-1 in their last 8 games, right?
Yeah.
And that's as trending 7-2. That's as trending upwards as you can be. The only team or teams with a better record in the last half of the season is, I believe, the Cincinnati Bengals for sure. They're 8-0 back half of the season, and I believe the 49ers. So I don't think you're as crazy as other people, as people like Mo, but I do want your reaction. I do want your take on that 6th spot for the Jaguars.
Bro, what are we doing? No. I know part of it is the way you're trending, but that's a part of it. Like, that's a part of it. And yes, you're 7-1. The only 2 teams is the Bengals and the San Francisco 49ers that could say they're better. But I also value who they're playing. I also value now, granted, it's their first playoff appearance as well as their opponents in the Chargers. But I mean, it's been a Cinderella story. And Jacksonville, don't get me wrong, I do think Jacksonville could win. So I am on the side where I do think they could win. But even going into this game, like, I'm still going to think the Chargers are the better team because top to bottom they are. It's a nice to win a weak division, right? Like, so a lot of factors going to why Jacksonville was trending up, but at the end of the day, they did have to step on the field and perform. But 6, like, bro, hold on. Where you at? So you got them at 6.
Okay.
You got them ahead of Minnesota. You got them ahead of Dallas. You got them 4 spots ahead of the Chargers. That's tough. You got them ahead of the Cowboys. I know they beat the Cowboys, and I know it came down to the wire, and I know it was a ridiculous pick 6 because Noah Brown couldn't catch the ball. But I mean, bro, like on a neutral field, does Jacksonville win that game when they need it and Dallas didn't? Like, no, I don't think so. Like, when both teams actually need the win, you could say Dallas did because they were playing Philly, but at the end of the day, like, they were locked into the playoffs at the end of the day. So win or lose, they were going to the playoffs, and this was kind of the destiny was to play Tampa anyway. That's what it looked like from that week on, and that's what it came to be. But like 6, bro, that's tough. That's tough. That's outlandish. I'm sorry.
Hey, I get you. But when it comes to the Cowboys, it's just like the second half of the season, they kind of been like up and down, and they play to the our opponent's level. It's like they should have smacked the hell out of the Texans, but they kind of play at their level. And then when it came to the Titans, you're like, oh, you barely won that. And then we just lost to the Commanders, and it should have been a closer game than that. We just basically play like I don't know. It was just like we're not going to play to our ability. We're just going to just chillax, and I didn't like that. But before we were talking about, you're talking about when it came to the Vikings, you're looking at a team that doesn't do too well in like at 4:00 games. So if it was like a 1:00 game, maybe I would have the Vikings a little better. But it's just like they got to have a certain time. They're gonna have to they blow up, and then when it's like nighttime, it's ready to go take a nap. That's why I got the Vikings at lower than a lot of everybody else did.
So real quick before we keep going, as if it couldn't be bad enough having 2 Cowboy fans in here. Got to add another NFC East division rival, another playoff team.
Playoffs.
What does it feel like to be the only team in your division not to make the playoffs? It sucks. I can tell you, it's not fun. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend to a friend. But Prez, I want to get your thoughts on Jaguars at number 6.
Aaron, my guy, I love you, bro. That's wild. That's wild. But I respect it. I respect it. You have, you believe.
I feel like they've been playing very well. You compare them to a team like the Vikings, and I had them 1 spot above the Vikings because I feel like the last half of the season, nobody's been talking about the Vikings. We realize they're frauds for the most part. If Taylor Heineke didn't do what Taylor Heineke does, would have lost to Washington, and they kind of go down 33-0 against the Colts. The Colts aren't a good coach team. They're not a good football team. They're barely a good D1 college team. No reason the Colts should be up 33-0 on anybody, let alone a quote unquote, Super Bowl contender, a top NFC team. So yeah, I definitely have the Jaguars trending upward and Vikings falling quite rapidly. I don't think he's far off. I think 6 is it caught my eye, but I don't think it's as outlandish as y'all are making it. Because again, I had them at 8.
Okay, but here's why I make it outlandish, because I look at my rankings. So I obviously seeing this, I compare how I ranked it to everybody else. I got Buffalo 5. And I explained on Jelani's show why I have Buffalo 5. But so if I look at Aaron's, if I got Buffalo 5, Aaron, even though he raised Buffalo a lot higher than I do, he's still like his rankings and Jacksonville is close to where I have Buffalo. And I don't think that's even in the conversation. And I told y'all I have Buffalo 5 because Kansas City, best team in football for me. And it ain't even about being the 1 seed. They got the baddest man on the planet who's done it at a higher level than anybody else. And he has one kryptonite right now, which is Joe Burrow. Outside of that, I don't care. Josh Allen won in the regular season in the past 2 years. He also lost in the postseason. Wasn't on Josh Allen, but it was on the Bills. But I'm looking at Kansas City and I'm looking at Cincinnati. I think those are the 2 best teams in the AFC right now. We can say what we want about Philly, but at the end of the day, they are the top seed in the NFC. They did have to play a couple weeks without Jalen Hurts, and I think they still may only have 1-2 losses at max if Jalen Hurts never got hurt. So I'm taking the top 2 teams in the AFC and top 2 teams in the NFC over Buffalo, which is why I put them at 5. But the Minnesota or frauds thing, I think, is the most outlandish thing in football right now. I really do. And the reason why I say that is because what is the expectation of Minnesota? They went 13-4. They won the division that could be had. Now, what do we expect? Like, if they beat the Giants and then they don't do anything else, did you expect them to do any more? Like, I looked at them as they could. Why weren't we talking about them as contenders when they only had 1 loss? But they are where they are. They win close games. If they beat the Giants and go and lose to San Francisco, is that a surprise? Is that a fraudulent season because you went 13-4 and lost to San Francisco, who everybody on this map thinks that is a better team? Like, so that's my thing is like, if they're fraudulent, but they go and beat the Giants, then what? Like, because they're either going to play Philly or San Francisco. We all think those are two better teams. So now they're fraudulent for losing to a better team. Like, that's why I don't think the fraud thing should come until the Giants beat them, which is possible because of the stat I said where Kirk Cousins and the Vikings at 4:00 are not good. 4:00 or later, they're 1-4. They're not good. His numbers go down. Yards per game goes down by 20 yards. His QBR goes down by like 20 points. His completion percentage goes down by like 8. Like, every number tells you he's not going to be good at 4. But at the same time, like, the Giants do have Daniel Jones, who has played pretty good with what you've given him. But still, like, we're killing Kirk Cousins. Are we just trusting Daniel Jones in the playoffs? Like, is that what we're doing? We're going to kill Kirk Cousins so bad that we're like, we trust Daniel Jones now. Like, I know we can't trust Kirk, but what have we seen to be like, yeah, we're trusting the Giants offense to get the job done as well. So I don't know.
Brian Daboll. Believe in Brian Daboll.
But he's never, like, this is his first head coaching gig in the playoffs. I know he was an offensive coordinator, but it's completely different. It's a different type of pressure. You could say the Giants are playing with no pressure because if they lose, if they were to lose, does anybody care? Like, and obviously Giants fans care, like, dang, we want to win a playoff game, but you don't look at the Giants and be like, you failed. Your season is a failure and you're fraudulent. Like, they're playing with house money, but I just feel like unless Minnesota, and it probably could come back and bite me in the butt, and Minnesota ends up losing to New York, and then Rob gets to go, Mo, frauds, I told you. But I just feel like until they step on that field and lose to the Giants, like, they easily could reach their expectation, win a playoff game, and lose to the better team in Philly or San Francisco. And it wouldn't be a failure of a season for me just because they went 13-4. There's 2 teams, probably 3 teams in the NFC better than them right now. So that's why I don't know why we would consider them frauds when I consider them like the 4th best team in the NFC. And I don't think anybody else would consider them any higher or any lower right now.
I think you do have to give them credit for winning those close games because, you know, we could say that they're frauds and all that, but good teams win close games. And, you know, it can easily have gone the other way, but it didn't. It didn't, you know, so do they have flaws? Oh, they're a very flawed football team for sure. But they did win their close games. Close game. I mean, they won at the buzzer against the Giants. And I mean, the comeback versus the Colts is still absolutely insane. So you have to give them credit. But then there's also that side that's like, it's the Minnesota Vikings. It's Kirk Cousins. Like, it's just, you're just waiting. And that's why I think people are kind of, you know, thinking that the Giants could pull it off because they almost did. Now, obviously, regular season playoffs, it's a completely different animal and all that. But, you know, if the Vikings lose, we can't believe in this team ever again. Like, we just simply can't. And they have to. Well, we're in this world where we see all these Kirk Cousins type quarterbacks, and Derek Carrs, all these quarterbacks that teams I feel like are forced to have because there is no other option. So they're forced to have these type of mid-tier quarterbacks. And if Kirk Cousins has a 3-interception game and they lose at home to the Giants, they're better than the Giants, right? If they lose at home, that's going to tell a lot about, you know, the future of this team because, you know, they're going to have to evaluate. But, you know what? I will give them credit for the season they had. They had a really good season. Kurt played big in some games and all that, but, you know, they are, you know, I can understand why people say they're fraudulent because it's still like they can easily lose 30-3. You know, it just they're that type of
30-3. I'm all out on Minnesota ever doing anything again because if you can't put up more than 3 points, if you let the Giants score 30 points, like it's not even about scoring 3. Giants got an adequate defense, but you let the Giants score 30 points in a playoff game, like yeah, you're dead to me. Period. But Rob, can I just ask you one question because Chris hit on it, and I want to hear your opinion because me and Chris just took over talking. You said something about the Kirk Cousins, the Derek Carrs. We'll throw the Dak Prescotts in there. What are you more likely to have as an NFL franchise, though? Like, you're built everywhere around them. I won't say everywhere. I mean, you do have your flaws, but no team is really flawless. Because even with San Francisco, as great as they look, you still are like, do we trust the 7th round draft pick in the playoffs? It's been looking nice in the regular season while everything's going right. more pressure now. Do we trust him? So that would be a flaw for him. Philly would be Jalen Hurts in his, but you're more likely to have Dak or Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins as your quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, or Josh Allen. So when it's those kind of teams, it's like we don't trust them, but there's 4 or 5 of those special guys as opposed to the average guys. So what do you think, Rob? Like, aren't you more than likely most franchises have the Dak, Derek Carr, and Kirk Cousins than the special Patrick Mahomes come around and then Josh Allen come around?
Yes, I will say yes. You're more likely to have an average to slightly above average quarterback, leading your team, and you're able to build around them. My thing with Kirk Cousins is he jumped to a team that was 1 game away from the Super Bowl, who for the most part, that team stayed intact. That all they said was, oh, we just need a quick, because they had Case Keenum. Case Keenum took them to the NFC Championship game. That team, for the most part, stayed in relatively, especially all the important pieces. Stephon Diggs was still there. Adam Thielen, Delvin Cook, Anthony Barr on defense. Eric Kendricks was still there, and which those players are still there now. You take a very good team, a game away from the Super Bowl, who says, oh, all we need is a quarterback, and you proceed to miss the playoffs. I think the next 2 seasons, there's something to be said about that. I have a question for you guys, though, and this is going to be the last thing we talk about as in regards to the Vikings, because I want to move on and get your thoughts on something else. 2 years ago, there was a team sitting at 11-0 that was winning the close games, that was winning the 1-possession games, who ended up losing the first round of the playoffs.
Pittsburgh, right? Which
at the time, there were people saying it at this network saying, all you got to do is win the close games. You're 11-0, doesn't matter. But also at the same time saying, oh, you're only winning close games. You're fraud. They were just waiting for that one loss. And because it came to Washington, who was not a good team at that time, said, oh, see, told you frauds. How is this Vikings team any different than that Steelers team?
I think you trust Big Ben more than Kirk Cousins, right?
Oh, we knew Big Ben was cooked.
Big Ben was cooked at that time. Just Pittsburgh had everything. They had the defense. They had everything right for them at the time. But, here's my thing, bro, is there's one player on Minnesota who could take over an entire playoffs and make it hard to beat Minnesota. And that's the best wide receiver of the season in Justin Jefferson. I know this isn't college football where one guy is just going to take over, but Justin Jefferson is that type of guy. He's a mismatch for everybody in the NFC. There is not a single, maybe Philly, maybe Darius Slay could contain him. Other than that, I like Justin Jefferson to go for his over on yards and have a touchdown or 2 and have a big game because, future Hall of Famers, and I know it's way too early, but he's on the path. He continues this success and builds on it. He could be a Hall of Fame type wide receiver. Bro, they have big games in these kind of moments, especially when, if all else fails, Kirk Cousins is able to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson. And we've seen it work time and time again. Buffalo game is key. So I just think, do I trust the Vikings past this round? No, I don't. But do I trust the Vikings? Do I trust Kirk Cousins to be good enough to beat the Giants? Yes. Could I see the Giants winning 100%? I very well could. But can I say, I'll trust him enough? If there's a game and a matchup I trust him to win, it would be against the Giants. And then from there on out, he'll flame out in the next round because he's just going to play a better team. They're just going to be outmatched, and Kirk Cousins just ain't going to be able to turn it on. Yes, but that still would put Minnesota at about exactly where they're at. Beating the Giants, losing to the 49ers or Eagles is exactly who the Vikings are. That's who they are. They don't get anywhere past the second round without some miracle happening or an outstanding performance and Kirk Cousins changed the narrative. They are a team who should beat the Giants and lose gracefully to Philly or San Francisco. And I think that's exactly who they are. And as long as they beat the Giants and then play the tough game against Philly or San Francisco, I don't think you could be that disappointed in the Viking season because you would not tell me that they lost to the worst team. They won't be favored going into either one of those games. They'll be on the road going on both of those games, and both of those teams are better. So that's my thing with the Vikings is if they beat the Giants at this point, they won't be frauds unless they just go and get blown out, but we've seen it happen already. They got dominated by Philly. They got smacked by Dallas. I don't think they played San Francisco, but if it was the regular season, San Francisco would have dominated them too, and it'd be like the 3 teams that are better than them in the NFC dominated them, so you would give them no chance in the next round. But I guess if they lose to the Giants, then yes, their season was fraudulent. Then I feel like they're fraudulent, but I think we're killing Kirk Cousins too much right now. Because he's everybody else. He's Dak. He's Derek Carr. He's all these other guys except for the Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. Nobody else in this play, and Tom Brady, sorry, apologize. Nobody else in this playoffs. Literally, there's what, 14 teams. 4 quarterbacks have proven something in the playoffs. And we focus on Kirk and Dak. Nobody else in here has proven a freaking thing in the playoffs. And we're just giving all the trust in the world to all these other teams except Kirk Cousins and Dak.
So before we move on, I want to bring on, got one more guy in here. Darth Sidious from
He's looking really
he's looking real bring me the children, real Anakin.
You guys just called this man a murderer. Jesus Christ.
Of children.
Looking really Night Stalker, and you're on mute.
I was gonna say thanks for having me, but like I don't know if I want to be here anymore. Like,
oh, you definitely want to be here. I'm digging the look.
Thank you so much, Rob, for having me on.
I didn't realize how many Cowboys fans we have.
We got way too many.
But some of us are more realistic than others.
That's true.
Are we going to bring up Mo's, when the Cowboys get bounced early, that he said that they will win the Super? Remember, we have that clipped up, so it's not like it's in the.
It took him a while to say it. It took him a while to finally say it. But Canada, I appreciate your comment. Giving me best list. I worked hard on it.
I'm a big believer in San Fran. I really am in the NFC because I feel like there's so many unproven teams.
Yeah.
And when I think of the experience that San Fran has outside of quarterback, obviously, but the roster might be so good outside of it that it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a rare instance where we focus so much on the quarterback play. Yeah. Like you need a star quarterback, but when you're legit have every other position on lock, like you have playmakers everywhere, like your running back is another receiver, like your running back is 2 positions in one in CMC, and then you got what's his face that just came back from injury, the
Debo,
Elijah Mitchell, who just came back, then you got Debo, then you got Kittle. Ayuk, offensive line solid. Then the defense got Frank Warner, who's a monster.
I think the thing about the playmakers, though, Chris, is that a lot of playmakers, like, you need to be able to throw it down the field in order for them to be productive, and you don't with these guys.
No.
Like, Debo is basically a running back playing wide receiver.
They're so physical.
He is basically
they're so physical. Like, they're just going to beat you up, and that's what's scary. Bosa's on the edge, like, that's scary. That's a scary. Nobody wants to play them.
How does Purdy respond after throwing an interception in the playoffs? That's something we haven't seen. Is how does he respond? Because I get it. They got all the playmakers. All you got to do is get them the ball, and they'll take it to the crib. But my thing is when the game matters, because Purdy had 0 expectations. Now San Francisco looks like a team that we might all go on the panel and say they could go to the Super Bowl. We all say they could. They could be they're probably the favorite to come out the NFC. Now, everything you did for the past 10 weeks, you have now raised the bar. You're coming into this game with expectations. You probably beat Seattle. Hopefully, you get them done and over with early so you feel good as a rookie quarterback. But let's say Purdy on the first drive throws an interception and Seattle comes down and scores, which is going to be tough because San Francisco. But how do you respond from that? And what if he doesn't respond and it takes a while for San Francisco to get going? Do we not look at them a little different? Because now we're like, there's Mr. Irrelevant. Like he finally showed because the bar was raised, the expectations, the pressure is now on there. I'm not saying he folds, but at the same time, that's my one hesitation on San Francisco is not only do you have a rookie, this is the last pick of the draft who's been able to just go out there and play with 0 expectations. There's 10 weeks of film on you. A team has had time. Seattle has had time to prepare. This is the 3rd time you're playing them. And how do you respond when real pressure is on you and you make a mistake? If you were to make a mistake, which is very well possible.
Do you think Shanahan's going to make a good game plan for Purdy, or
Yeah,
because if Purdy
game plan, but you can tell me to throw 3-yard slants all day, but Tyreek Woolen jumps one of them on Debo, and now it's a pick six. How do you respond? Like, Shanahan's not going to put him in harm's way, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to throw the ball. Like, it just, there's going to come a point in time in the playoffs. We saw it with Jimmy G. Would they won a playoff game with him throwing like 7 passes? But there's going to come a point in time where you are going to have to throw the ball, and you're going to have to put it in Brock Purdy's hands. And that's just my question. We don't know. We don't know about any of most of these quarterbacks. Honestly, it ain't just Purdy. Most of these guys, it's their first time in the playoffs, so we just don't know. How do you respond when you make a mistake?
We don't know, but I think we have to trust Shanahan. Like he's shown it, that his ability to just have a great game plan. You know, like you said with Jimmy G, he threw 6 passes that game. Like I think they're gonna with Elijah Mitchell healthy, and you got CMC there, and CMC is a little banged up too right now, so we might see a lot of Elijah just run it down Seattle's throat and just eat them up and get those long 10-play, 80-yard drives, and just that's what they need to do. Off the bat against Seattle, get a nice long drive, 10, 12 plays, 80 yards, whatever, and just show dominance from the get against Seattle, because they are a way better team than Seattle. So they just got to go off the jump. If they get the ball first, just go there and drive. Use Elijah Mitchell, get him going, because he's going to be key to this playoff run, potentially him healthy. Because like I said, CMC is banged up right now, so you want to have CMC fresh. But just I think Shanahan's going to put him in the right position to not make those big time mistakes. And like I said, they're not a deep threat team, so there's not like that's something they need to worry about. They're going to kill you in the middle of the field with Kittle, and then Ayuk and Debo. They play so physical that I don't think I would worry if this was maybe another team and a different coach. I feel like I trust Shanahan and know what he's doing, and so far we've seen good results. I know playoffs is a different animal, but they have a good veteran team that's gonna that's not gonna make mistakes like that. So I think he'll be fine, and I think Seattle going to show some things, but I think San Francisco is going to win this pretty handily.
Yeah, and I think coaching is something that is being overlooked as much as we just talked about it. It's being tremendously overlooked in this game, because we all saw this season what a difference coaching can make. I've listened to Ron Rivera talk for the last 3 years that success doesn't happen overnight. Change doesn't come overnight. When Jaguars and Giants, both playoff teams, literally success overnight.
Seattle was supposed to be the worst team in the league this year.
Who was?
Vegas had them as the lowest win total, and they're in the playoffs. Like, it goes to show how much coaching matters.
Yeah.
And
Kyle Shanahan is going to
really matters.
And I think Kyle Shanahan is going to be a much bigger contributor and reason why they move on, if they do, than any of the playmakers.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan's like a James Harden of coaches. He's really good early, but the farther he gets, the less his play calling is. I'm just saying. You're not gonna act like Kyle Shanahan just done won something. Like, yeah, he's folded late in the playoffs, so they'll probably beat Seattle, but it gets a little bit tougher. The thing with San Francisco that I do like is they have 2 favorable matchups. If the teams that should win, they get Seattle and then they get Dallas, and they know what playing Dallas looks like from last year. So I will say San Francisco has a favorable road, and if anything, if the Giants win, then they get the Giants or the Bucks. So I really like the road that they have, but it's just for me with the rookie quarterback. Like, yes, I get it. Kyle Shanahan will call all the right plays, but you have to make all the right reads. You guys could jump a route because they feel like they know a play call. Like, yes, he's going to call the right game, but Pete Carroll's going to call the right game to try and stop him. And so my thing is, if he makes a mistake early, now if they're up 3 touchdowns and he throws a pick, who gives a damn? Like, nothing's going to come from it. But I'm just saying, if he throws a pick early or fumbles a snap or makes the wrong read and doesn't get a drive going, like, now how do you respond? Because not only is this your first time in playoffs, you are a rookie quarterback playing on a team with really Super Bowl aspirations. And so it could start eating him up if he don't get going early. That like, man, my team could fall short because of me. Because they're gonna be ready everywhere else, but team could fall short because of Brock Purdy. It's not. I don't hate the dude. He's undefeated right now as a starter. Can't hate on him at all. I don't hate him, but still, like, luck runs out sometimes. That's all I'm saying.
Let me ask you guys this: 2 seed that's more likely to lose, the Niners playing the Seahawks or the Bills playing the Tua-less Dolphins?
Since I have to, if you want me to pick one, I'm gonna pick San Fran. But
also, I'm assuming with Aaron's rankings with Miami at 9 that he was assuming that Tua was going to play, or at the very steady.
Yeah, I was assuming Tua was going to play because I don't trust.
I think he thought Dan Marino was coming back.
Where I'm sure he was assuming that Lamar was going, and he's not. So, like, these rankings from a couple days ago, obviously they might have changed a little bit. But
I think Aaron thought that Mark Brunell and Fred Taylor and Keenan McCardle and
Dan Marino was stepping out of the booth and he was just
Stroud in the middle. Stroud in the middle.
That's why I thought, I put Baltimore at 9 for the simple fact I thought Lamar was playing. If not, they'd be 13.
It seemed like he was going to as well. They really hyped it up like he was going, and then today it's like, oh yeah, by the way, he's not ready.
Yeah, like it's one of those. It would have been, I put Seattle 14 for the simple fact I just don't give them a chance against San Francisco. Really, I would have put them 13 ahead of Miami if I knew Tua wasn't going to play. Like, part of me was like, Tua's probably not going to play, so I'm going to go on the safe route, but I would have definitively put them I did put them at 14. Haha. I put the Bucks at 13. I would have had the Ravens at 13 if Lamar was going to play. I'm looking at Cruz's rankings. I'm like, dang, I did put Seattle at 14. Anyway,
I have to look at
I think I have the exact same ones.
And I think I'm going to regret putting the Bucks at 13, but whatever.
Yeah, you are.
But like, where else were they supposed to go? Like, I mean, like, I feel like Jeff put
Why would you have Seattle ahead of them?
Seattle ahead of who?
Yeah, you had Seattle ahead of the Bucks.
Why?
Because they're better than the Bucks.
No, they're not.
Yeah, but they're playing San Fran.
Okay, but even still, they're better than the Bucks.
No,
Seattle has been better. Yes, they are. They have a better record. They've been better. They play in a tougher division only because they've had to face San Francisco twice. The Bucks couldn't even come over 500 when they needed to win. The only reason why we're even holding on to the Bucks might be anything is because they play the Cowboys. That's it. Other than that, this team has been trash all year. Their only chance is because they're playing the Cowboys, but they're not better than Seattle.
They got 12. That's why.
No, we're not. No, it's because they're playing it's really bro. They could have Jameis and people still would think the Bucks would have a shot if they were sitting where they were at.
Absolutely. Jameis wouldn't even be in the playoffs. So
I think it's a combination of the two.
I'm talking about at 8 and 9. If they had Jameis sitting at 8 and 9 and won the division, people still would think the Bucks would have a chance.
The last game didn't really matter. So, like, the record is kind of irrelevant. Like, under 500, they didn't.
I mean, also down the stretch, they never outplayed Seattle.
That's crazy because Washington's 7-9 record was very relevant a couple years ago.
The record is relevant. Like, we're not going to say,
no, but you guys didn't sit the last game of the season. Like, the Buccaneers literally didn't play. They didn't play anyone in the second half. Like, so, like, the being under 500 is kind of irrelevant.
I mean, they still would have been like.
Would have been 9 and 8. What's the difference? Like, okay, they would.
You're saying they're under 500. It's like they're not really under 500.
Chris is nitpicking, trying to get under.
Yeah, Chris was trying to get the whole.
I just don't get how you have Seattle ahead of the Buccaneers. Like, Seattle's not better than Tampa Bay.
I think Seattle the first half of the year was, but like Seattle,
they showed their true colors in the second half of the season. Like, we're trusting Geno Smith. Let's be. I know it's a cute story, but like it's still Geno Smith. Like,
not for a cute story. Like you're trusting them because of 45-year-old Tom Brady. When there hasn't been a point in the season though where you should trust Tom Brady. There's not been a point in the season.
Been through this before.
Are you really
going to count out Tom Brady? Like, I don't care how old this man is. He's still playing at a high level.
I'm not saying he's not playing at a high level. This is his worst year of his career. He's not playing at a high level.
And are you going to doubt him? Doubting him in the playoff game.
I'm not doubting him.
If you trust Geno Smith over Tom Brady.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Since we're doing the quarterback thing, right? If the Bucks were playing San Francisco and not Dallas, would you even have the Bucks would you even give the Bucks a chance? Go
I
ahead.
think they would
watched
lose
them
by
play
two-
earlier
they
this
lose
year.
by
So
double
no.
digits, but
Give me the right answer. No, you
they
would
lose by
not.
double digits. Yeah,
I'll go with San
But you trust Tom? You trust Brock Purdy over Tom Brady? Like that?
I would
Yeah,
trust
'cause
Seattle.
their team is better. I mean, it's
I
a
would
big
trust
difference.
Seattle probably more to beat us, or less to beat us. Sorry, because I would trust Tampa more to beat us. Like if I saw Geno Smith and we have to go play in Seattle, let's say Dallas did, then I would be like, oh, okay, we can win that game.
But you feel like, but we can win the Bucks game. We're not going to do this like we have no shot.
I don't think that we are going to win the Bucks game. That's where we differ.
I think we do. Do I think we handle them? No. Do I think it takes everything that we have to do? Yes. But I'm not just going to act like the Cowboys. Yes, the Cowboys could very well cowboy, and everybody gets to come talk to me on Tuesday and be, you guys suck. And it very well could be like, yep, coach fired, Dak on the hot seat. We start those conversations. But this is the time. This is the matchup for Dallas where I'm like, you have zero excuses. You were handed a matchup on a silver platter to at least get one playoff win this year. This is the matchup you should want. The only other team in the NFC that you would rather play is maybe the Giants because you beat them twice. And that's the only reason I say that is that.
No,
Other
you're
than
right.
that, you don't, and I don't think for especially for like Dallas, I'm not sure you just want to play Seattle, especially if we're talking about going on the road. If we're talking about playing any of these teams on the road, I'd rather play in Tampa in good weather than have to go to Seattle in January. Just saying. It's not about time. It's more than just who's the quarterback. I wouldn't want to go to Seattle in cold weather in January. You're crazy.
It's Geno Smith in Seattle.
I'm playing
This
Geno
isn't-
Smith over Tom Brady at the end of the day.
I'd rather play against Geno Smith than Tom Brady. Like, come on now. It's
But
We
Geno
beat
Smith.
Seattle back in
We're
2019.
getting too hyped about this season. Like, he had a nice season. Really, that's cool. Good for him. But he's still Geno Smith.
I hear you, but can we ask where?
You rather
Can
play
you point me the
Tom
time
Brady at home than Geno Smith at
Can
Seattle?
you,
Come on.
can you point me a time in the season where you just think the Bucks team is good? Point me a stretch. Point me a 3 to 4 game stretch where we saw the Bucks and we're like, that's
playoff
good
now,
football.
bro. It's a different animal, man.
I
That man, you
that,
cannot doubt Tom. You're gonna trust Geno Smith over Tom? Get the hell out of here, bro.
No, but you can't.
Get out of here. Come on,
Bro,
now.
here's the thing with the
The
Bucks.
Cowboys should be salivating right now.
Bro, here's the thing.
Would
with
be salivating if they were playing Seattle. They would.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with the Bucks. It's not Brady. It's everybody else. Devin White has been trashed this year. Shaq Barrett hasn't done anything this year. Chris Godwin's been hurt, so he's had some good games though. He's been hurt. Their offensive line is banged up. They've battled the injury bug. So all I'm saying is like we're talking about. Yeah, we hope Tom Brady can carry a limp team into the playoffs. Like it's not even about Brady. It's about the rest of the roster. Nobody has played up to standard except for Mike Evans because he got 1,023 yards again.
You're fast. You're like,
you
whatever
wouldn't
that
have
word
brought
is
up
with
Mike Evans if I
Evans
wasn't
is
on the
wild.
show, but
Like,
it really eats
this
away
man
at
has
him
a
every day.
1,000-yard receiving season every year, and you will never give this man credit for being a good wide receiver.
I mean, he had 1,124 yards. That's
I
nice.
said he was good. I said he's not the atmosphere.
Rob.
The
Let's not go down the Mike Evans road.
I'm just gonna say this: the atmosphere that everybody wants to put him in for getting that feat is like, oh, he's great, he's top 5. No, he's a good wide receiver. I said he's top 10.
He's top 5. They just said he's a really good
can I
wide
make one
receiver.
last point on this game?
Y'all only go and make debates based on conversations I have with y'all. I talk to more people than y'all, and people are telling me Mike Evans is this godly figure, and he's not.
No one says that.
I'm not okay. Okay.
I will make this one point in favor of what Mo is saying. Last week, everyone was talking about Green Bay versus the Lions like Green Bay was already in the playoffs. Because, they had a couple good games down the stretch, and we kind of overlooked the fact that they were still a bad football team.
And they had Aaron Rodgers.
And they had Aaron Rodgers. But this Tampa team, as he said, hasn't been great. The only reason why is because it's Dallas. If Tampa plays any of the other, we'll say 12 teams, you probably take them to beat Tampa Bay. But it's because it's Dallas. Like the only other team that you probably wouldn't would be Miami because no Tua, probably no Bridgewater.
And probably Baltimore because like no Lamar. Like, but the factors of
but I feel like people would still justify it as I think Huntley can go in and beat that team because they'll get the run game going. Like, I'm not saying you guys, but in general, people would say they could go in and win that football game because they have some experience. They have Harbaugh coaching, not Mike. I don't even want to say his last name. Coaching on our side. I think that's just the way that it would go.
I think that it is a combination. Go ahead, Aaron.
No, just saying Baltimore don't have enough firepower. And they thought they adding a 36-year-old Deshaun Jackson was going to fill the need of receiver, and it's not.
I forgot that man still existed. Let alone play
after torturing us for
People
years.
would pick Jacksonville to win this game if they were playing Tampa on the road. Don't care what anybody say. People would pick Jacksonville to win this game. It's because it's Dallas. It's more because it's Dallas than it is Tom Brady. People would say Jacksonville will beat the Bucs on the road.
I don't think it's more the fact that you can say it's more because not only is it the Cowboys and the Cowboys tend to cowboy in the playoffs. Tom Brady's 7-0 against Dallas in his career. And you want to know his most recent win? Week 1 of this season.
And
while they were a bad team.
Neither of them are the same team. We're not going to do that. They beat us.
You guys are better, so you guys should win
the last month of the season.
Like, we're going to go back to week 1. Like, we're going to act like Carolina didn't pick their defense apart. Like, you think if Sam Darnold and DJ Moore can do that, you don't think Dak, you don't have trust in Dak and CeeDee Lamb, but Sam Darnold and DJ Moore took them to the brink of winning the division. And we're like, oh, yeah, but they prevailed. So we're giving them credit for that. But then we're like, oh, Dak and CD can't do that with a better defense and a better.
So then let me play devil's advocate with that. We just saw what Sam Howell was able to do to that defense. You don't think Tom Brady can do what Sam Howell did
in a game that didn't essentially matter for us?
I mean,
you guys played your starters the entire game, so it had to have meant something.
Yeah,
starters played the whole game.
It was a game that we wanted to win.
We wanted to win, but losing meant nothing, though. Like, if we lost, it literally meant nothing. It put us in the same. Because had we won the game, what would it have changed? It would have gave us one more win.
Looking in hindsight now, but we went into that game feeling like, hey, if we get it done, then we're going to be the 1 seed. And Dak's thrown 9 picks since the start.
And the Giants game was a close game.
Like
with the Eagles, and the Giants weren't playing anyone, and the Giants almost won that football. Could have won the football game.
But it does. At the end of the day, I get it. Like, it's Tom Brady. I get it, and we're gonna ride Tom Brady's coattail until he's 50, and he very well could win the game. And it'd be like, see, Mo, we tried to tell you, and he could throw for 400 yards and 10 touchdowns, and it'd be like, Mo, you're an idiot. Because every time I speak ill on anything or anyone, they have the greatest performance of their life. So I guess I should just stop doing shows when I want my teams to win. But I'm just saying, like, you wouldn't pick Tampa to beat San Francisco. You wouldn't pick Tampa to beat Philly. You wouldn't pick Tampa to beat Minnesota. You wouldn't pick Tampa to beat the Chargers, the Bills, Kansas City. None of these teams. But because it's Dallas, it's like the Cowboys are going to cowboy. We're just jumping to the conclusion the Cowboys are going to cowboy and Tom Brady's going to Tom Brady. When Tom Brady hasn't shown you at all through any stretch of the season that he is the Tom Brady of old. But now that week 18's over and we're in the playoffs, we're like, oh, yeah, the GOAT is coming back.
Also, can we talk about the fact that Walker put Jacksonville at 14 and how just hating on his own division that is? That was the first thing that I looked at in those rankings, and I'm like, he really went and put the Jags at 14, that petty guy.
Oh, he did. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's out of spite right there.
He has the Ravens at 6. Ew.
Well, that was probably assuming that anybody with the Ravens.
I feel like you look at Walker's rankings and it's like the all I hate off the ball network rankings, because he's got Jacksonville at 14. He's been chirping the Giants all year. He's got them at 13. he went in there and he's like, you know what? I'm just going to cause chaos at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
so. I want to look at where we were all pretty consistent. One thing that I look at is Bengals. We're all Jeff, myself, Mo, Walker all had him at 3. Jelani and Aaron had him at 4. Real quick, Jelani got 9 out of the first 10, like in order. I don't know what the hell was wrong with my Excel spreadsheet when I did these, but his ranking is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He had the Jaguars at 12, and this was all that bumped him up to 9, got him in the top 10. That right there. And the Ravens at 9. So 9 of the first 10.
In hindsight, you're almost thankful that Aaron did what he did, because now Lamar got ruled out, and then them being down at 10 now doesn't feel as bad.
Who the Ravens play?
Ravens?
The Bengals.
The Bengals are about to get
They're about to get manhandled.
Tyler Huntley's not even playing either.
Is it Anthony
he's
Brown?
not.
Oh,
Jason
has
Crowley?
he been confirmed?
Who's that third string?
He hasn't practiced.
Crowley's
He didn't practice.
in Arizona.
Yeah, it's Anthony Brown. So
Oh
yeah.
no, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's a made up name.
Harbaugh's gonna leave there. I
That's the name
think
that
the
you tell
Ravens
the
are in
dogs,
trouble.
Anthony Brown.
Like long term, the Ravens are in trouble because like
Yeah.
Harbaugh.
You think
rumored-
Harbaugh and Lamar both leave this season? Both come to DC?
I think Harbaugh is looking to leave.
No.
For what though?
Why would he leave Baltimore?
That's just what everything you're hearing is like there's tension and stuff. Like he
But
wants
that's
to change.
Harbaugh and Lamar.
But if he leaves, then what are you having? Like 15 teams are calling him right away.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dallas.
I mean, I'm not even going to be sad if Dallas loses because I'm hoping that means that we can get Mike. I eat my own buffet McCarthy out of town, but
That won't happen though, Ken. So no,
But
I'm not-
are Cowboys fans really rooting? Like,
no.
are you guys
no,
really rooting
it's like
to
it's the
lose
silver
just because
lining
we got a
of
new
like
head
if
coach?
we lose,
I think
then
that's
he's
kind of
potentially fired.
weird.
But then Jerry's saying all that BS yesterday really made me mad. So
I don't take what Jerry Jones says with a grain of salt anymore. He's gotten old and he just says whatever's on his mind.
but that's what worries me is that because whatever's on his mind, him saying like, "No, Mike's sticking around." Like that.
I
means
heard
in
Jerry
his
Jones a
mind,
big
like,
fan of
Mike's sticking
rallies.
around.
Big rally guy.
Yeah, he is. But he just can't. My thing is with Jerry is you can't go in there and basically put Mike McCarthy on the hot seat for the world to listen to and it be everywhere. Like that, you can't do that.
But you can say it without saying like, "Hey, like no matter what happens, like he's safe." Because now you're just telling the guy like, "Hey, I really don't care what you do this weekend. Like you're fine."
Screw him.
Doing.
We clearly missed what happened.
See, I'm so glad that we have Cowboys fans. Like, I'm so glad they exist. It's like
All right,
NBA
what
having
you
the
say?
Knicks, right? Like, imagine a world where the Cowboys don't exist. Like, it's like you guys are a walking meme sometimes. And you guys have what, 5 Super? So you guys like have done stuff.
Oh man.
Like, unlike the Knicks, like the Knicks haven't won a championship since 1973. Now you guys haven't won one in a while, but it's just like you guys give us so much material that it's like we have to do this. Everything's going right, and then what happens? A picture of Jerry Jones from 1947, whatever, pops up out of nowhere. It's like, yo, everything's going right for the Cowboys. There's got to be something we can find. And somebody saw a random picture and was like, "Yo, is that Jerry Jones?"
Like literally goes out their way to go
Somebody looked at the picture and was like, "Hold up."
And you know that person was sitting on that picture.
Bro, they were
Oh, yeah.
too good. It's one of those, bro. This is why it's hard being a Cowboys fan, is because the rest of the world is sitting and waiting. Wait till
Oh yeah, we're just waiting.
we're waiting for something to go too good. Guess what? Boom. Jerry Jones against segregation from 1950 something when he was a 14-year-old white kid.
Oh, I would just happen to be there. It just made the wrong turn.
No, like we're gonna point Jerry Jones. We're pointing Jerry Jones out as if like, oh yeah, he was a 14-year-old white kid in the 1950s. Oh, he might have been racist. What a surprise! Like we're all shocked by this.
Supposed to make the right on Fisher, the left on Fisher, and then boom, rally. So I happened to take a picture too.
And it's the way he was speaking too. Like,
He was like this.
what's going on over there?
This is why I love the Cowboys, because there's a world there. Imagine there was no Dallas Cowboys. Imagine there was no New York Knicks. Imagine there weren't teams like that we could make fun of. Like, imagine if there weren't Knicks fans in the chat. What if there weren't Cowboys? It'd be very boring. Like, you guys just I love
It would
it.
be a productive network.
Yeah, it'd be a bland conversation.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun having.
Anyways, because you got
Mo hasn't never seen an NFC title game.
no, I haven't. But this year will be a great feeling, won't it?
Well, I mean,
All right, back on track. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you playing Madden tonight?
Anyway,
Who's the
Anyways.
Cinderella team this year?
huh?
Who's the team that goes on the run? Because last year's the Bengals went all the way to the Super Bowl. Who's a team that maybe goes on a run, goes all the way to the NFC or AFC Championship?
The winner of the Jags Chargers.
Jags Chargers, hey?
The winner of the
Yeah.
Jags and Chargers game would
Is
be
Bosa healthy for the Chargers? Is he playing?
yeah, he's supposed to be. I just think if the Chargers win, like, I mean, realistically, bro, they do match up with damn near anybody when healthy. Like, they got the talent to play with anybody. So kind of like Cincinnati. Like, Cincinnati was, even though they were rolling a lot more at the end of the season than the Chargers were, but when you just look at matchups and like talent on paper, the Chargers are just as talented as anybody in the NFL for the most part. I mean, they got all the position, they got everybody at the position that you need.
Except
So,
Mike Williams.
He's playing though.
I know he's
He's
out.
banged up.
I know he's banged up, but I think he's expected to play.
Ugh.
You still have Keenan Allen. Josh Palmer showed he was adequate while those two were out.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you start going on a Josh Palmer rant, but you turned it
No,
into Josh Palmer's adequate.
Most think Josh Palmer's better than Mike Evans.
You
So.
got yourself there.
No, I'm saying he's adequate. Like, he showed he was adequate while those two were out. Like, I'm not saying, oh, I expect Josh Palmer to go for 150 and 2 touchdowns, but like if I have Keenan Allen, Josh Palmer, Austin Eckler, like I'm good enough to win. Especially like I'm good enough to beat the Jaguars. I still have Justin Herbert, still got an adequate defense. I probably got the best defensive player on the field in Derwin James. So like they have enough. I mean, coaching, I guess, is where you would question how far could they be capped out because of coaching? Could they be right on the brink of getting to the AFC Championship and Brandon Staley calls his analytic buddies to make a call on 4th and 5 on their own 25? Maybe. Like that's likely. That's a very high possibility, but I think the Chargers could make it. Like, wouldn't it be special to see Joe Burrow and then last year and then Justin Herbert this year? Like, the young quarterbacks are kind of taking over anyway. Look at the whole AFC. The oldest starter is 27. So it'd be nice to add some parity to be like, now we really get into conversations of Mahomes and Herbert and Burrow and Allen for the next 10 years. That could be the start of it. Or if the Jaguars went like Trevor Lawrence, now we start the question. Guarantee you, if the Jaguars beat the Chargers, everybody's gonna, not us, but everybody's gonna start questioning who's better, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert. It's gonna start, guarantee it.
Lord.
Monday you're gonna wake up, boom, who's better?
It's Justin Herbert, so it doesn't really matter.
I kind of wonder about the Giants. Now
we're
here's
getting
why I say
healthy.
it. First of all,
We are getting healthy. We are
They
getting
get
healthy.
Minnesota, which I think is great matchup given their history. So you get past them, and then you get a division rival. Yeah, you got to go to their building, but Philly hasn't looked great the last month. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if maybe the Giants are that team that goes on a bit of a run. They upset Philly, we get San Fran and them or something in the NFC Championship.
Giants
We're
have
not
never
really
lost
giving
the NFC
Tampa a
Championship
shot,
game.
right?
I mean, the Giants, I think they're getting healthy at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think we can make a run. I think maybe we're possibly, a year away. But like the receiving core is getting healthy. Hodgins is looked like a legit, starting caliber wide receiver. Like he's just not just some guy. Like he's actually played solid football.
Well, look at Kenny Galladay last week, right?
Caught a pass.
Hey,
He got a
finally
TD
got his
last
first
week.
touchdown.
His first touchdown
Another
on the Giant, and he made it worth it. Did he not make it worth it? Like, and you know what? I know Galladay is it's been bad. Let's just be real. But when you're down bad to get that moment, like I'm not saying he's gonna be a factor at all, but I was happy for him that he was able to at least get that touchdown because like
He didn't get one last year.
and
did he?
listen, let's not blame him that they gave him $72 million. That was Gettleman. So like people like,
You never blame the player.
and it wasn't like we're getting he was coming off a season. He was a really good wide. Like he was, you guys know, he was a good receiver at that but it hasn't worked out. But
He's like top 15.
he was solid. Like he was a solid. Like 1 year he led the league in touchdowns. Like so solid player. But not that he's going to make a difference. But we need Saquon to look like Saquon. He hasn't looked like himself. He's been banged up. But the line's getting better. The defensive line is healthy. The secondary, we're getting McKinley back. We're getting Jackson back. So Adoree Jackson back. So you're getting healthy at the right time. So, I've seen this team do this before where they get healthy at the right time and they make that run. Not saying this is it, but let's see. we lost to the Vikings on a last second field goal. We could beat the Eagles. I mean, it could happen.
Playoff reseeding, right?
Is it reseed?
Or is this just how the bracket goes? Like,
I think it's the bracket. Yeah,
well, no, it's the lowest seed.
Yeah, because my thought process was I don't think that Seattle's going to beat San Fran, so San Fran will move on.
So it would be
the
the Giants.
If they upset the Vikings, they get Philly. Because of that road, I think that's why I would have them as a potential team to go on a bit of a run.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, in the NFC, I could definitely see the Giants being like that out of the blue team. In the AFC, I could probably see the Chargers. I think the Jaguars are like a year away before they're legit. I think the Chargers should beat them.
I mean, everybody thought the Bengals were more than a year away from really being a serious contender, and they make that run last year.
No, that's definitely true. That's definitely we don't know. We don't know. We can
get with Jack Peterson. Who knows?
KC this year.
I
feel like they played at some point, didn't they?
Who?
Jacksonville and KC.
Did they play? I don't recall.
I don't remember them playing.
I don't remember them
Maybe
playing.
I'm wrong. So I stick to betting.
I don't remember them playing, but the Jags.
Oh yeah, they did play this year.
They lost by 10, and that was back before they went on their run. But they did give them a decent game up until late, if I remember correctly. So, if we get Jacksonville and Chargers, because we're assuming no Tua, no Lamar, Cincy and Buffalo take care of business, they're going to be matching up in the divisional. Whoever wins out of that Chargers-Jags game is going to give Kansas City a run.
I could see it.
Well, the Chargers beat them this year, no? Didn't the Chargers beat the Chiefs?
They did last year, I think. I don't know if
I remember them beating them. Maybe I'm wrong, but the Chargers Chiefs game could be possibly that upset that we can possibly see, because the Chargers are good at all levels, when they're right. So that could be something we could see as far as.
Does anyone feel like Kansas City has almost like had it too easy this year in a sense? Like, I think it's just because Mahomes has been that great, but when's that game been where they've really been tested?
Where's that game that they're going to need Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what I'm waiting
if Mahomes doesn't have it going, they're blanketing Kelsey, and he's
because they have no deep threat.
MVS and Juju and they haven't had that game where I'm like, oh, okay, they battled to the wire and then they pulled it out. And that's what concerns me about them, is that they're finally going to get that test, and
they don't have a run game at all, really. Like, Pacheco is young. He's a rookie.
He's just a receiving back.
Is Andy Reid going to put the ball in a rookie's hand? We've seen a lot of Jerick McKinnon lately, but that's out of the backfield mostly. So if they can't run the ball, you're going to have to need Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball 45, 50 times again. And like I said, there is no Tyreek Hill. So there isn't that big play threat where you're like, all right, at least two of these bombs, like, it could go to the house for 6. So you don't have that.
Chargers games, KC only won by 3 points this year.
Yeah, so like divisional game. That's a division.
And there was that one where they came back super late and it was really tight to the wire. So I wouldn't be shocked if this.
And that's a division game too. So division games, even in the playoffs,
and it's so hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year.
It's very, very hard. It's very hard.
But you guys killed it on the rankings. I really did like. I like that some people went a little bit off the board instead of just playing to the masses with like Kansas City 1, Buffalo 2. Like, It's nice to see some differing opinions there.
Yeah, it definitely was. I liked it. It was definitely something. It was a lot of fun putting these together. It was a lot of work. I will say that. It was definitely a lot of work. Went to bed, I think, close to midnight getting these done, but it was definitely a lot of fun. But Prez, I'm gonna give it to you real quick because we're gonna wrap it up a little bit shortly. Go ahead and shout out our sponsor. I had it on the screen. Let me bring my screen back up. And there we go. So I have been a NordVPN customer far before they were off the ball sponsor. It's great. Put you on game. This is how I watched all the Commanders games. I literally just picked the Manassas VPN, connects me to DC servers. That's how I watch the games for the free. Price, go ahead and tell them a little bit more, and then obviously the promo code.
Yeah, so NordVPN is one of our newest sponsors and all that, and like they have a new special. You get 60% off, no 59% off your subscription and all that, and it's essentially it locates you in different spots. So if you want to use buy a UFC event, let's say, in a different location and get it for cheaper. I know a lot of people, like for instance, like the WWE Network. It's still available. If you don't want to use it on Peacock and want to use the WWE Network interface, you can go all over to whatever country and use the NordVPN. So, and it secures everything, top-notch security and all that. So you head on over to Off the Ball Network, and on the website it'll have the NordVPN link. Hit the link, and it helps us out a ton. And they've been great so far. So I'm really happy to have them aboard, and one of the great sponsors that we have at the network. And but yeah, going over, I think they're having a sale right now. They just had the Christmas sale, but now they got a new thing going on with the new year. I think it's 59% off. Just click our link, and it'll direct you right to where you need to go, fill out everything, and boom. Like you see right here, Rob uses it, and it's a great service. I've heard a bunch of people say really good things about him. So that's why when they reached out, I was like, this is a home run, and very happy to be have them on helping us out.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people use it for like stuff like Netflix, because in other countries Netflix doesn't have the same stuff. So for like
that's another one. If you want to go, there's different
Office.
Netflix shows for some different countries. So if you want to go to Germany or whatever, and you want to watch something there, NordVPN push you in geolocation over there. Boom. And
don't use Canadian Netflix. It's trash.
Yeah, if you're an enjoyer of mediocre TV like The Office, I think in Europe.
Yeah,
And,
this guy watches
over there.
Friends, but
I watch Friends religiously.
Mediocre TV. Oh God.
Yes, Friends is the go-to TV shows. I don't care what anybody says. I won't fight anybody.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't know. I give it a chance. See, I'm not that type of person that just like, all right, the show sucks because I never watched it. I watched it and I gave it a shot. Like I gave Seinfeld a shot too, because
I gave The Office a
Seinfeld
shot.
guy, and he was like, "You gotta watch it." And all my friends are Seinfeld. I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna give it a shot." And I was like, okay. I would laugh a little bit, like, but people are like, "Oh my God, you're gonna die! You're gonna die laughing." I'm like, that was funny-ish. But like Friends, I'm just like, Phoebe.
Dude, Friends,
Phoebe acting stupid. Oh, okay, that's
Friends.
cool.
My wife hates it because I will watch that show and
First
laugh
of all,
like
the
it's
rent
the
in New
first
York
time.
City is too crazy. So like, they can't all afford that.
Like, this was in the 90s in a rent-controlled apartment for starters. But that's how I feel about The Office. I had a 6-hour flight, something like that. So I downloaded the first 2 seasons of The Office. The only thing I can remember is the basketball game. That's it.
That's a.
Well,
you got
to get to like
right,
season
but
3
if you are a show that takes 2+ seasons to get good, you're not a good show. But anyways, that's NordVPN. Go check out the link. I'm gonna give the floor to you guys. Chris, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you and what projects you have coming up.
Yeah, you can follow me on Off the Ball Pod. I just put out a show with my top 20 high school players going to the NBA. Just put that out. We got a Get a Bucket podcast with Kevin that we're doing tomorrow. Excited about that. But follow me, Off the Ball Pod. Make sure to follow the network, offballnetwork.com. Check out all the great sponsors. SeatGeek. Make sure to use SeatGeek too, another great sponsor. Off the Ball Network. Promo code. Get $20 off your first purchase. Go to offtheballnetwork.com. OTB_network. On Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the sub, hit the like. We've been getting a lot of subs. Sub count's been going up daily, so really excited about that. More people finding us out. That just makes the brand better and everything, So follow me, Off the Ball Pod. That's where I'm most active, and appreciate you having me on.
Kenneth, where can they find you at?
You can find me in Maple Syrup Land, but when I'm not there, I'm at HedgePod on all social platforms. Live show Monday through Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. 150th episode coming on Friday, so stay tuned for that.
150.
Currently, 150 episodes since the start of January last year, so I've been really getting in the lab with this
Damn.
one. And yeah, just go and check out the show. Check out the network as well. We got our new merch line as well.
Oh, right. I forgot the merch. The merch line.
YouTube channel. It's always in the description as well on all of our videos. So go and click there. Got some great designs that I certainly didn't put together. My wife's putting that together because I'm not creative at all. I might as well just put mayo on a sweater and call that my design. But really appreciate you having me on.
No problem.
Yeah, get that merch. I gotta find the actual link, but it's in the website too. Get your merch. We got Off the Ball Network merch. We got everyone's individual podcast merch. We got some new ideas we're gonna work on as far as a lot of the sayings we say. I know all that. So a lot more to come, but the merch store is up and running.
Yeah, I'm gonna get mine to you. My wife just made me a new logo. From my original old one, so I'm gonna get that to you guys. I'm excited to debut it. But you already know where you can find me, FNC Pod on Twitter, Football and Chill Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. I just put an article out this past Monday on the XFL NFL merger that needs to happen but never will. It was definitely very interesting learning about and texting Kenneth a lot about European soccer rules and promotion and relegation. Because every 4 years,
on XFL and see if that's going to work. Because I have a feeling it's going to.
I'm down. We'll talk. I'll text you.
Just a random thought.
I think it has potential to do well if done right. But yeah, Facebook and Instagram, Football and Chill Podcast, TikTok, Football and Chill Podcast as well. I have an article that was supposed to be out yesterday or today rather. I'm going to get it out tomorrow morning. The Off the Ball crew did a little end of regular season awards. Prez gave some inputs. Kenny gave some input. So did Mo and Aaron as well. So I'm going to finish that up tonight and get those out tomorrow morning. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, listening, whether you watch it live, watching the rebroadcast. We do greatly appreciate it. Hope you have a good night, and we'll see you next time.